Hi, everybody. Chris Englebert with Englebert Financial Advisers in Allentown, Pennsylvania with the weekly Englebert Angle. And we have a kind of a exciting, but isn't exciting topic today. It's something that we really want to do as far as busting myths with what happens to someone's money when they die. Now, we're a registered investment advisor in Allentown, Pennsylvania, and we have over 300 retail clients. And unfortunately, throughout the year, we get that phone call from the adult children saying, hey, mom passed away or dad passed away. What do I do? So I wanted to take today and talk about what happens to someone's money when they die. So obviously the end game is, spoiler alert, we're all going to die at some point in time. But what happens is that many people are very unprepared, especially when they have a mom and dad in their 70s or 80s. A lot of adult children don't talk about, what obviously the end game is. So we're seeing a lot of baby boomers pass on. Obviously, the last couple of years we've had, COVID, et cetera. So we've seen an acceleration in deaths. But what a lot of times happens is we get elderly people and the adult children that do not work with a financial advisor, and people just don't know. So we have a book called Death and Dollars. And if you respond to me from this video by sending me an email at chris@englebertfa.com, we'll send you a free copy of the book. But I wanted to talk about some of the basic myths that people have. And I get these phone calls all the time. In fact, I got one a couple of weeks ago, a police officer. Her dad had just passed away, and she said to me, she's like, I'm very worried about getting hammered in taxes. And I had to explain to her that she's not going to end up paying the taxes. What ends up happening is the first thing you should do when somebody passes is to make sure you have a good estate attorney. Make sure this attorney specializes in writing wills and handling estates. Once that estate attorney relationship is established, what you're going to do is typically the estate attorney sets up an estate account, typically a banking account, or we may end up retitling an investment account to be what's called an estate account. So you, as the inheritor of the money, don't pay the taxes. The estate is its own separate entity. And what happens is all of the assets end up in the estate. The attorney then files an estate tax return, and the taxes are paid by the estate. So make sure you work with a competent attorney that knows how to do this. If you need one, we can refer you to a couple of them that we work with that are extremely good. But again, many people think that when they get this money, they're going to have to pay taxes on it. No, that's not true. When you get a disbursement from the estate account, that estate account will either have already paid the taxes, or sometimes they will disperse an amount of money from the estate account early and hold some money back to pay the estate taxes. So you don't pay the taxes. The estate is a separate entity, and they end up paying the taxes. The other myth that we see all the time is that, wow, my mom or dad had an IRA, and now I'm a beneficiary of that IRA, and I'm going to pay taxes when I get that IRA, put it in my name. Absolutely not. We open beneficiary IRAs all the time for people. And what ends up happening is, for example, if your father died and he had an IRA and you're the beneficiary of the IRA, that IRA is then going to be opened as a beneficiary IRA in your name. Now, where you do pay taxes is when you withdraw funds from the IRA. And we've seen some changes on how and when you have to pay taxes on those funds. So not to confuse you, but in its simplest form, if you inherited a Benny IRA after 2020, you have 10 years to wipe out or disperse all the funds for that IRA. Now, there's some caveats there because there's been some new changes in the Secure Act 2.0. So if you're inheriting an IRA, contact us. We'll walk you through what's going to happen. But for most people, what's going to end up happening is they have a 10-year period where they've got to take a disbursement from that beneficiary IRA. You can take it all in the first year. You can split it out over 10 years. You can take it out in years 7, 8, 9, 10. Typically, what ends up happening is we have people that are working, and we suggest that if they have to take it out over a 10-year period of time, they take it out as late as possible because they're still working. But again, there's a caveat because their date of death and whether they're taking a required minimum distribution will play into it. And again, the Secure Act 2.0 has made this a little bit more complicated than it really needs to be. But again, the minute you get that beneficiary IRA, you do not pay taxes on that. You will end up paying taxes when you take a disbursement from that beneficiary IRA. The other thing is having joint accounts with a non-spouse. We can't say this enough. We've said it in previous videos. Many times people say, hey, listen, I'm helping my, mom or dad pay the bills. We have a joint checking account together. And I say, no, you do not want to do that. Having a joint account is a very tricky matter unless you're married. What you should really have is a durable power of attorney written by a competent attorney. That durable power of attorney will let you go in and show that durable power of attorney to the bank or the investment account and say, I have durable power of attorney on my dad's account or my mom's account, and here's what we'd like to do. Because if one of the joint owners dies, so let's say, for example, you're an adult child and you're on with your parent as a joint owner of a checking account, what happens is that they may have to probate or wait until your will, if you predecease your parent, you may have to wait, they may have to wait to get their money back until your will is probated. So a lot of people do this thinking, oh, wow, mom or dad's going to die first. Unfortunately, we've had situations where adult children have passed away and the parent has to go back and get their own money back. So the other thing that happens is it triggers a gift tax problem, and then it ends up also creating a liquidity problem because that account is frozen. Whoever ends up dying in a joint account, whether it's your mom or dad or whether unfortunately it's you, and you pass away, that account is now frozen because obviously one person on the account has passed away. So again, we can't stress enough, if you talk to attorneys, their number one pet peeve is non-spouses being on joint accounts without a power of attorney. Make sure you have an individual name on that account and make sure you have a durable power of attorney. So when you're getting into this inheritance situation, make sure you consult with either an attorney or a CPA, maybe somebody that was doing your parents' taxes, or if you're working with a CPA about making some of these financial decisions, because we've seen all sorts of things happen where an adult child inherits a Benny IRA and they don't consult with anybody and they take all the money out and they get a huge tax bill because there's no strategy talked to about it. So a lot of people need to understand that when somebody dies and you're taking care of their estate, that you have time to talk about strategy as far as what you're going to do when somebody dies. The best thing to do is talk about strategy before they pass away. But if that's not possible, after they pass away, make sure you enlist a competent attorney to handle the estate. Make sure an estate account is open. Make sure you have a copy of the will. Hopefully these people have wills. And then have it handled in a professional and proper way. So we just wanted to go over some of the myths that people commonly talk to us about all the time. Hopefully this helped you. And again, if you email me, Chris, C-H-R-I-S, at engelbertfa.com, say that you watched this video, we'll send you our book, Death and Dollars, for free. And that goes much more into detail, many of the things I've talked about on this video. So thanks for watching. We'll be back soon. Take care.